Hello and welcome to my channel. This is part 4 of the series on CAGED, the CAGED system on the guitar. This is going to be the last part that is sort of theoretical, although we're going to be talking about applications, but this is still laying the groundwork for the series that I based on the blues chords, the dominant seventh chords in the CAGED series, which I found a very good teaching and learning tool to really get this stuff under your fingers, because it's important to understand where it's coming from and what the theoretical basis for it is, it's like a map. Ted Dunbar, who I mentioned in the first one, who had brought out this book in the 70s, and you can see this beautiful graphic by one of his students, that this one lays out the C's, all the C's on the fretboard, on the guitar fretboard. He had a very nice way of explaining the basis of this. He said, just like in New York City, which was his home base for most of his life, for most of his professional life as a musician, there's 5 boroughs. There's Staten Island, there's Manhattan, there's Queens, there's Brooklyn, and the Bronx. And just like that on the guitar, there's these 5 types. I took this thing a little bit further in talking to my students. I tell them, when you first move to a new neighborhood, you have to know where the 5 important things are, like the bank, the grocery store, the post office, maybe a good bakery, maybe a good restaurant. And you need a basic map to find the layout in your neighborhood. And the CAGED system is just that. It's the map for the guitar neck. It will always be the same sequence of types. It'll just change depending on what note I'm on. And I remember an interview that Steve Vai, I think, gave in the 90s in one of the guitar magazines. And he said that's the way it is for him. He sees the whole neck with that map where the connecting types are, and then when the note or the root of the chord changes, it switches in his head. There's a new map, and which starts in a different place. It's the same relationship, but they start in different places. There's a few different things I want to show you in this one, like when you play when you have a section in a song where it just stays on C for a while. Let me turn this down a little bit. It would be nice to be able to just change it up a little bit, and then if I play this C, I can move up to my G type, going over to my E type. I play C all this time, so that I can play the same chord in different areas of the neck, and I get a different sound. I get more variety. Maybe somebody will say, okay, I don't like the sound, the way it sounds here. Play it higher up. I need more high notes, and you can play it up here. Another great application is when you're in a band with 2 guitars, or a keyboard and a guitar, or just a chord instrument and your guitar, that you will both find different ways of playing the same chord. Now the keyboard player, let me use another chord. I've been using C too much. Let's say we use an A chord here. This is what one guitar is playing. And then the other guitarist will say, okay, he's playing all the way down here with the open string. That's a nice sound. Let me go up. And I look for my A chord with a D type up here. Because if I have A type here, the next type needs to be G type, the next type needs to be E type, and following E type it will be D type. So up here. So one can play here, one can play here. And you can try this out when you play, if you play with me. Now you play the top one. Okay, I play the top one, you play the low one. get this big sound, almost like a keyboard, because now we have 10 notes happening. 10? No. 9. We have these 5 and these 4 up here. Okay, that gives a big sound. It really opens up the accompaniment or the part in the band where you're putting this. Another thing that you can use this for is if you want to play lead guitar to somebody playing rhythm. Let's say the rhythm guitar is down here, playing this G chord with an E type in the 3rd position, and you want to come up with a little line that goes on top of that, and you don't want to be right where he is, so you figure out, okay, E, so that's my D type, this would be my C type. How about I do something here? And the other one is just, you just go. And all of this comes out of my C type G chord. Because I've learned that if I go up here with the C type, I get a G chord, and right away I have notes that will fit over the other G chord that is played with E type down here. And you will see, knowing the guitar fretboard and understanding the music, that everything is built around this. There's additional ways that you can look at it. You can have these 3 note per string fingerings. You can go learn to play up on 1 string. You can go, what Billy Bauer showed me, play 4 note per string fingerings. That will all connect these different positions, and you get maybe a different perspective of looking at it. But underneath it all will always be the CAGED system. You might call it whatever you want, but the CAGED already, if you say CAGED for it, you already have in the name the way that it is set up. So I think it makes sense to use that. We need a way to get this under our fingers. Maybe you're already inspired to try different things out and record yourself with one type, play another type on top, or something like that. When I was going to Rutgers College and to Ted Dunbar's class, he had us play through all the positions for each chord with the arpeggio and the scale. So, like, for example, say B flat, which is a very common jazz key. He'd say, okay, you have to play your B's here, and then you go, and then you play the chords. So I played the notes, I played the scale, the major scale, B flat major scale, and then I played a chord with a part of a G type. I didn't do the whole thing, I just went here. So, and then he also added the triad arpeggio. So we go. First I play the chord. And then the chord again. And then I go to the next position, do the same thing. Okay, so I have chord, triad arpeggio, major scale, and the roots. The way, like I showed you on this book, the way the roots are laid out. And then coming back down, like if I would do B flat, I would have to do all 5 positions. And then we would have to come back down with the chords. Just the chords, so we can see the connection. So I get all the way up here maybe, with a B flat major chord up here. See, I connected all the types, and that we had to do for every note, all the positions, every note. But that's a college program, so I have developed a way of teaching this to my students using the dominant 7th chords and the blues changes. As the blues is in pop and rock and jazz, it's a good thing to know that. It's also a very clear structure with the 12 bars. And the dominant 7th chord types are a little bit easier to play on the guitar than the major chords, the major triads that we did in these first 4 episodes of the CAGED course. So I invite you to join me in exploring the fretboard and learning the fretboard using the blues. In the next 5 or 6 videos that I'll be putting out, we go through all the different positions and all the types, but we'll use them right away in a musical way. I hope I'll see you there, and thanks for watching.